Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Loopy Doods podcast. You are joining me, Drew from Parks Bros, as well as my great buddy.
Me, Mario from Mostly Coasters.
I love how we always introduce ourselves as me because I don't know how to
It's
transition
a me, a Mario.
like into English properly. But we're back. Another 2 weeks have flown by. Flown, get it? Because I got this shirt on.
Nice shirt.
Yeah, thanks. It's a great ride. You should go to Silverwood someday. But yeah,
another 2 weeks have Yosemite'd by.
It's
you
been
can't even see it.
a crazy couple weeks in the theme park and amusement park landscape, and especially in the U.S. We thought things were going to slow down with the heat, but no, they just keep ramping up, and I can't believe it. I
didn't speak for yourself.
Oh, all right, fair enough. But yeah, tons of new updates, especially considering what our last episode was mainly about with Fury 325. There's a new thing going on with Fury 325, and that's the fact that they're already working on fixing it.
I think the more important update to talk about first is that Six Flags has reached back out to us, and we will be eating Crunch Wraps on X2.
No. If they did they actually? Because I highly
No.
right.
I'm just joking.
I was like, did you get a memo
the Fury
that
thing.
I didn't? Okay,
The Fury thing.
yeah, the Fury thing.
The Fury thing. Yeah, the Fury thing.
Yeah, so if you didn't know, Fury a couple weeks ago developed quite the crack in one of its supports along a weld, we found out, after some micro cracks happened there. And ever since, the ride has been down. The support split literally in half, which is kind of crazy to think about. We've never really seen that in any roller coaster's history before. And now there's already new fabricated supports being worked on, and the old support has been taken down. And that's pretty impressive if you ask me. It's only been 2 weeks and they're already ready to go.
And, I mean,
almost.
there was already like a couple days after we talked about it on the last episode where they put out like a press release saying that they're having a new support arriving in like the coming week. So that's already happened. And no word on when the support would be installed, and it looks like it's already installed, at least from this picture. Where is it? This picture from Reddit, where they have what looks to be the new support already installed. The press release also said that they have to do 500 cycles before reopening, but since the support is in, I mean, you could do those 500 cycles within a day or two, depending on how rigorously you're pumping those cycles out. And so, yeah, it's going to open probably way quicker than anyone expected. I don't know that we gave it a rough timeline for what we thought was going to happen.
I think we said it was probably going to be down the rest of the year, if I remember correctly.
I was thinking until bare minimum after the summer season. So the fact that it'll be back open most likely still within the time frame of peak season is insanely impressive.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, they manufactured and shipped and installed a whole support within 2 weeks.
Well, I didn't even think about this. The fabrication plant for B&M in the U.S. is in Ohio. It's only like a 10-hour drive away. It's not... it's not that far. Yeah. So if they already have those plans, those CAD models, whatever they need, and they have the steel available, and they're already manufacturing structures like that all the time, including the track and supports, it's like, in all reality, they could theoretically have it there in a couple of weeks with paint taking probably the most time, which is kind of insane.
I guess so. And I can't tell from this picture. I don't know if it's just like the shadow, but is that like support, like a slightly darker color? Can't tell. Maybe it's just the shadow.
Let me check. I am not currently looking at it like I should be. That might be shadow. Well, I don't know.
It's so hard to tell.
Yeah, there shouldn't be shadow above the apple, whatever it's called. What's that apple picker? Cherry picker? What's the...
Cherry picker.
Yeah.
You could pick whatever you want with apples, cherries, peaches.
Sorry, I've been so used to picking apples lately. By the way, your apple butter will be at your house very soon.
Yummy.
Yeah.
We're just going to talk about food for a half hour again today.
But I will say that does look like a completely different color, so it makes me curious.
It looks like a light gray. I mean, hey, honestly, like instead of getting the specific color right, it's better to just get it open sooner.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I don't even.
Well, they can repaint it later too, so they probably didn't have that's specific color.
Yeah. yeah.
You know, like my guess is they did not have that color in stock, and they just wanted that thing open as quick as possible. And they're like, well, we have this.
It's a very
this
specific shade of white.
Yeah. So I mean, you know what? Whatever works, whatever gets this coaster open quicker and safer, it's all that matters.
Oh, and then another thing to mention as far, I guess, as the safety goes, and as far as the press release goes, Carowinds also said that they are now going to do something that I haven't heard of before. Certainly have not done myself working in the theme park world a little bit. They are going to do drone inspections of supports and rides for taller rides that have parts that are harder to inspect, because a lot of times you'll do like a track walk, so you make sure the track is all good, but it does make sense that maybe the support goes unnoticed, especially for a ride like Fury, where this is one of the shorter parts of the ride and it's still like nearly 100 feet off the ground. So I feel like a very, very strong response from Carowinds, a quick response, a quick solution, and also somewhat of an innovation, if you will, as far as safety checks go.
Yeah.
So I think overall a very solid response from Carowinds, considering how jarring the initial story and images and videos were.
Yeah, it seems like most of the media you've seen about Carowinds and Fury in the past couple of weeks has been just absolutely insane. Like, all of the articles I've seen just pushing this thing to another level. Obviously, it's something that shouldn't happen on roller coasters. I mean, it's not really ever happened before, but some of these outlets have just been pushing the craziest stuff with it, and not reeling it back a little bit. And I know there was definitely a lot of missteps to have this situation that happened occur, but yeah, it's good to know that Carowinds has been super open and honest about what's going on, and you know, the whole process to get it back to pretty much brand new, which is really cool. You don't see many parks that often having to take that detailed of an approach to let everybody know what's happening in the future with the ride. So it's been pretty cool to see that.
Well, I also don't think that it's like I don't think it's really a lack of oversight on their part, in my personal opinion, man. Like, you don't see supports just cranking like that.
Well, true.
That's not something that happens. It's uncharted territory, sort of. Yeah. And they closed a ride. I know it ran cycles with it like that, but they closed it seemingly as soon as they were aware of the problem.
Well, I will say
they had an immediate response to the problem, and they have a continued ongoing solution. Like, I feel like there's so many times where there's incidents at parks, and then you just like don't hear the park saying what they're going to do to make things right in the future.
This is very true.
So I feel like all things considered, like they're handling the situation as well as possible, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the missteps I'm talking about specifically are the heavily reported on alleged facts, I guess I should say, that the person who first saw the full track in the sport went up to the rod operators at Fury Station, and they were like, well, whatever, dude, and kind of brushed it off. At least that's what was alleged by them. So if that is truth, then that is a huge misstep in my opinion. But
yeah. I mean, as a ride operator, you're always trying to, like, if there's like any structural anything, like just shut her down.
Yeah.
Or at least like report it to someone else. Whereas, again, that's also just a training moment for those individuals.
Yeah, but the micro fractures in the supports, just want to be clear on my stance on this. But all of that with the support actually cracking, and just that is something completely unprecedented. And the park, I mean, they're changing literal safety measures to try and combat something that has never happened before. So I think the park is doing a fantastic job with their response on it, for sure. So it's great to know that ride, after another 500 cycles after that support is good and in place. Should be reopening pretty dang soon, which is insane.
Impressive. Impressive for sure.
That is not the only change, though. I guess we should move to the next topic, don't you think? Because we pretty much covered Fury's situation pretty well.
That's the only topic. This first one was the only one I was familiar with, so I'm excited to see what else we have on today's
there's
episode.
a lot happening. One of our home parks, Knott's Berry Farm, again in the Cedar Fair chain, randomly 2 days ago, as of recording this, put walls up around Timberline Twister and Camp Bus and Camp Snoopy and removed them off of the website entirely. And employees have said that they're done. They're gone. They are being officially retired by the park. Now, again, that's being alleged that employees are saying that that's not confirmed by the park or anything. But the fact that they're off of the website and completely walled off kind of alludes to that even more, where something like Woodstock's airmail that is currently undergoing some renovations and is also walled off is still on the website. So I think we've seen the end of Timberline Twister and Camp Bus in that section of Knott's Berry Farm, which is pretty sad. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know when you rode Timberline Twister for the first time, but that I think was my first ever coaster.
Oh, dang. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's like an emotional impact for you. No, for me, I'm like, oh, okay. Weird they didn't announce it, but it's not very good as a kiddie coaster, or for adults, it's kind of just not good.
I agree. But I will say I'm sad I never got footage of it. Because I never really walked over there. I rode it once about 5 years ago.
I have a vertical video from my story from like 5 years ago.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
if you want.
Yeah,
that.
sure.
It's so good.
It's
almost usable for a video.
I remember riding it. The last time I rode it, it was about 5, maybe almost 6 years ago now. The park was rainy. It was empty. We wanted to do something different. We were visiting the park like 2 or 3 times a week at that point. So we decided to do all the Camp Snoopy rides we were allowed to do. And one of them, apparently, not known to my knowledge, was Timberline Twister, which we were technically too tall for.
Well, it just depends on the day.
It does. It depends on the operator,
day
technically.
and whether or not the operator is familiar with or choosing to disregard
even though it's
the
right on the sign
requirements.
It's right on the sign.
Yeah.
But I will say that ride made me change my tune on that thing. That is such an uncomfortable roller coaster all around.
Uncomfortable. So uncomfortable.
It's so uncomfortable. It was so, I hurt. It was either that or Linus Launcher that messed up my shoulder for a good couple of weeks. I'm not really sure because I rode one right after the other. But
I'll try and find the video real quick of Javi riding it as her like 100th roller coaster, I think.
Really?
So I guess it's a substantial roller coaster to you and her, or something, if something significant. I don't know. She's actually short enough to ride it. But I mean, I'm looking at the pictures that you linked to America Coaster Network's Instagram.
Yeah, shout out ACN.
Photos of it, and I don't know it. I mean, the fact that they're not I feel like the thing that's more telling of whether or not it's closed is the fact that it isn't on the park's website.
Yeah,
because just from the walls alone, it's like, okay, maybe just some unannounced renovations.
Yeah,
I know
totally.
they just redid Fiesta Village, so maybe they don't even want to announce like slight renovations to this yet because they don't want to steal the thunder from the new like big thing.
Yeah,
but at the same time, you also would be more inclined to not share information about something being removed because that's a lot more negative. So,
well, I
don't know.
I'm going to send you a link right now of park ride closures, and because Knott's is really good about having scheduled ride closures on their website. Walls went up the same day as Woodstock's airmail, and Woodstock's airmail is listed under scheduled ride closures, whereas Camp Bus and Timberline are nowhere to be found. So
gotcha.
Yeah, I think it's very telling. The park still has not said anything official about whether it's closed officially or not, but I think it's pretty telling. They're at least thinking that it doesn't exist anymore.
I mean, it could also just be up in the air. So
It
that could
totally
explain why
could
there's
be.
no
It is,
announcement, but there's also work going on around it.
Well, let me look at how old this thing is, because it legitimately might be one of the oldest rides in the park, if I remember correctly. It's
I also need to find this darn
1983. It
video
opened with
jogging
Camp
radio.
Snoopy in 1983. Built by Bradley and Kay.
Oh yeah, the very popular not defunct. Are they defunct? They're defunct, right?
I'm pretty.
I was going to
sure
sarcastically call them not defunct, but
they
I don't know.
built
pretty sure that
10
they are.
roller coasters. They started building in 1945. Their last coaster was in 1986.
Yeah. So the ever modern Bradley and Kay.
Chance Rides bought them, actually, is who purchased them in 1986.
That makes sense. I mean, it would honestly be nice if they can just get like a Vekoma junior coaster or something along those lines. I feel like that would just be like a nice, smooth, comfortable kiddie coaster.
I agree.
And one that parents can ride with their kids, because I think it's always nice when the young ones can ride with their adult. I mean, I just spent just 2 different videos out of like my last 4 talking about how good Vekoma junior coasters are for the target demographic.
Yeah.
So just like, I don't think, I mean, I know those like Zamperla gravity coasters, like Speedy Gonzalez at Magic Mountain and so many other Six Flags parks. Those are terrible kiddie coasters too, because they toss you around, no padding on the seats.
Yeah.
They're not exciting for adults, but they're not tame for the kids. So like, I think, and Timberline Twister was similar to that, but with airtime and an uncomfortable lap bar. So I just think it'd be really, really nice if they get something for kids that is actually suitable for kids.
And not,
so I think it would be a major improvement overall to replace it with something more comfortable.
Also, huge thing with that ride. Huge thing with that ride. Manual braking. That needs to go. Like that.
Oh my God. Yeah, I didn't even know that. But yeah, no, there's no... Unless you're talking like classic boardwalk coaster that you're keeping for charm purposes, like manual braking does not need to be a thing still.
Every time that park is moderately busy,
stupid.
because of how that ride operates, it always had like a 35-minute to an hour wait, and it's not worth it for that ride. Also, my dad, believe it or not, was a ride operator at Knott's in Camp Snoopy and did operate.
Don't believe it.
He operated Timberline Twister for a little while. And yeah, he said it was like the worst thing to operate in that park because of the manual brake. And you had to time it perfectly. Otherwise, you'd be halfway up the lift hill or halfway in the station. There was no in between. So you had to time it within like a 2-second period. And if you couldn't pull the giant crank quick enough, you would have to send them around again at the very least. So
I mean, that's how I remember like Giant Dipper at Belmont Park. Like when I was a kid, it was still manually braked. So like sometimes you just overshoot the brake, and unless like anyone really wants to get off there, like we're just gonna send y'all around again.
Yeah. We're like at a park like that with less visitors, especially because you have to pay per ride at Belmont. It's less of an issue. But at Knott's, where the park is, I mean, getting 4.5 million visitors a year, it can be pretty detrimental to operations, especially for the lone kiddie coaster. The next step up is what, Jaguar, I guess. I wouldn't say Pony Express.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a little too intense.
At least there's Jaguar too for a coaster that is like family friendly. So like it would actually be nice if they could get like a true, just very gentle kiddie coaster. Because I feel like, honestly, I'd rather have like an inexperienced coaster rider go on Jaguar first than Timberline Twister. It's not going to toss you around as much.
I will say Jaguar will toss you around.
Well, if you're in the middle seat though, like that's where everything's going to be the most mild too.
Yeah, I would say Jaguar is a better stepping off point because Timberline is just so uncomfortable. But I will say
Timberline has ejector airtime in the front and back cars. Like that's not good for
that.
Any
Definitely
kid
hurts
that is
as well.
Like afraid of rides, and it hurts, right?
Yeah, last time I rode it as a full-grown adult, I rode in the front row because I was like, why not? And I remember getting thrown.
There's a good reason why not
into the hills. I didn't get airtime going down, but I was getting like pushed into the hill itself, not upward, but like into it against the grain, if that makes any sense.
I know what you mean, man.
It was really bad. It was really bad.
This I'm showing like a clip of it, and it's like the airtime hill in the middle of the ride, I think, is particularly where it is, because that's where Jave was complaining that like it hurt. But yeah, it definitely tosses you up into the ouchie bits.
Don't get me wrong, I'm kind of sad about it, because it was my first coaster. At least I'm pretty sure it was. But at the same time, I'm not really complaining. I do kind of wish that Knott's was like, hey, we're gonna close this in a week or two, just to at least give us a head up. But
I don't know what's up with all the parks as of late, just like closing stuff with like minimal to no announcement. But
it's really odd. Now Camp Bus, we should talk about Camp Bus, because that's on the shopping block too, because that's right next door. I hate that ride so much.
Oh,
yeah. For some reason, those bus rides are the most nauseating thing in the world to me. I can ride anything else, but those I want to puke on. Yeah, it's really weird. It's very weird. It's that back and forth motion, while kind of getting like a little bit of float, I guess. It's for some reason that always makes me want to puke. So, yeah, Camp Bus can rot.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye Camp Bus. I've never been on one of those. It doesn't seem like it'd be nauseating, but Good to know for future reference, I guess.
Well, maybe it's just a me thing, because I've always, whenever I'm in a car, and you kind of hit the brakes a little too quick, and then you speed up a little bit more, like that back and forth. That's what always makes me a little nauseous. So like, I
guess it's also like probably the redundancy, right?
Yeah, maybe. But because I know Icebreaker was another one of those. That was the last thing I felt nauseous on, and that was just going back and forth over and over again.
The redundancy was the issue with it, right? Yeah. Versus just following a course with a little bit of variation.
But I'm fine on Dragon Swings. That's the weird thing. It's very weird. Maybe it's just not as forceful, like when you change direction. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe it's because it's a school bus and school just makes you sick. I don't know.
I mean, I used to walk to school. I never took a school bus outside of field trips, but that's a very California thing. I will say that. Yeah, comment below if you've ever been
funnel in cake if you don't eat your meat.
What?
No, we don't need no education.
Yeah.
It was a terrible, terrible joke.
So
not funny at all.
Speaking of knots, ooh, got him. I will say there's been quite a few rumors since the news of Timberline being not just not accessible for park guests anymore. And
they're bulldozing Ghost Town.
I hope not. Jeez, that's awful. But there has been a couple rumors swirling. So in this past year, Canada's Wonderland got a ride called Snoopy's Racing Railway, and this is kind of like a launched family coaster. I forget who actually built the ride. It looks like it was. Let me check real quick. Oh wow, ooh.
Don't worry, the audience didn't hear it.
Oh, okay, that's good. Snoopy's Racing Railway. Let's see. It was built by Art Engineering.
I'm not familiar with them.
They did Cannibal. They helped on Cannibal. They did not fabricate everything, but they designed it, I believe. So that's kind of an oddball one. But the rumor is Cedar Fair has purchased multiple of these models. And
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Ooh,
so if you look at the picture
yum.
I sent from Wonderland Weekly on Twitter, they kind of overlaid what it could potentially look like in Camp Snoopy. I personally think it's too big and doesn't really make much sense, because they'd have to close a couple other Camp Snoopy rides for sure to fit it in. But it's an interesting thought. What if they do replace it with a coaster very much like this? I think that could be a good fit for the park. It's a small little coaster. It's got a nice little launch on it. I did send a POV, I believe, of it on the YouTube link.
I'm watching the POV right now.
Okay.
I can't find the link to the thingy.
Oh, I just sent a picture of it on Docs, because I don't have the link to it itself. So I know that's gonna be
my boomer tush is gonna have to figure this out on my own.
Well, I could.
Anyway, he was saying.
Oh, I don't want to crop the image. No, I want to. Let me see. I can copy it and send it to Discord real quick. Nope, that did not work.
Yeah, do that.
What is it?
But anyway, enjoy this POV in the meantime. No, I mean, it looks good. It looks exactly like the type of ride that I'm talking about, where it's just like good for kids. It's the banking all seems normal, which is very important. Doesn't look like you're slamming around at all. The scale looks very mild, but it all looks smooth, and the launch seems tame, but a fun, mild way to get things going. So, I mean, it looks like if it were to replace those two rides, which based off this image that we're having a unfortunately difficult.
Well, I could put it in post also.
you.
I'll just overlay what it looks like.
That's true, yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Wonderland Weekly for making that kind of small little render. I think that would be a great fit. I do think it's too big for that spot though. You'd be cutting off one of the best parts of Camp Snoopy for sure with it. And also it would overtake Lucy's Tugboats, or whatever it's called now. It used to be called Lucy's Tugboats. That was my favorite ride as a kid growing up outside of Huff and Puff. Ooh, they never should take out Huff and Puff. I love Huff and Puff, even though I haven't been able to ride it in 20 years. But yeah, I think this coaster's probably just too big for this space, sadly. Also, you'd have to take out a restroom. There's a lot of hoops you'd have to jump through. But I do think.
I mean, is there not the possibility though that it could just be like a smaller, modified version?
And that's what I was.
It seems like you're more familiar with this whole thing than I am. So.
I'm not. I mean, I guess I am technically with.
Well,
this
you are
specific
clearly, because
situation.
I didn't even think about it till today.
But yeah, that's what I was going to get into. I do think they could put a smaller version of that model in that space pretty dang well, and I'm sure Art would be like, yeah, dude, we'll make another coaster if the price is right. So, and that would be so much better than what is currently there anyway.
Yeah.
Even
because it does look to like have a pretty long layout, the one from Canada's Wonderland.
Yeah,
so I feel like you could do a smaller layout that just goes around the cycle. That goes around the course twice. Like it feels like that's already what it does. Maybe that is what it did. I don't know. But it seems like you could very, very easily just have a smaller layout. Also, I finally got the thing to yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I just took a screenshot.
Perfect.
I'm so smart. I figured out how to screenshot.
So it opened in May.
I'm a
of this
zoomer
year.
now.
Apparently, it's 245 meters long. It's that model of their family launch coaster. It goes 31 miles an hour, which is a little fast. But
no, I definitely wouldn't have guessed that from the POV. But
yeah. But at the same time, I can't remember how fast Jaguar is. There's two models currently in the world, including one at Phantasiana in Germany. It would seem is where that is. Yeah. Oh no, Salzburg, Austria. Okay, in the Österreich. Okay, got it. Yeah, that's cool, man.
Ja, und Österreich. Mr. German over here.
I was gonna try and pronounce the name of that ride, but I don't want to embarrass myself. Jaguar, if you did not know, goes 35 miles an hour, so technically it's only 4 miles an hour slower. But
I don't know. This is smaller though, because like Jaguar also goes like all over the midway. Like I could see some kids' perception of it being that like it's a big kid ride, versus this one looks to stay relatively low to the ground. I know landscaping plays a part in that.
That was my view of that ride, because it's 65 feet tall.
And noise as well.
Yes,
like it roars over the midway, and loud noises can just be intimidating.
Yeah. Well, I didn't ride Jaguar till, I was probably 11 or 12, because I was like, that's a big ride. Because, comparing a 4 foot tall kid to something that's 65 feet tall, it looks, so much bigger than what it does, being 6 foot tall now. So,
is there a height listed for this coaster?
No, I don't think so. Not on RCDB, at least. But my guess would
0 to 50 kilometers
I would probably say
per hour.
It's 35, maybe. Yeah, like 35 feet tall at highest would be.
This is their 18th roller coaster. I did not realize how many coasters they had.
Yeah, they've built a lot.
Quantity over quality.
A lot of random things though, like a lot of one-offs. This is one of the few models that is only.
Oh, they have like multiple powered coasters too, right? Like they have one of those half pipe thingies that is definitely a debate of its own whether or not it's a coaster, and then also just a traditional powered coaster in the mountain, right?
let me look.
You
If
got
I
it.
look at the
Now we're just exploring Campus Wonderland.
the shortest version of the layout of their family coaster is either Duplo Dino Coaster at Legoland Windsor or Ba'a Express at Europa Park.
What?
I kid you not. It's BA-A-A.
Did you just turn into a sheep mid-sentence?
But that is 219 feet long with a height of 10 feet. And that would definitely fit in that space very easily. So I do worry about throughput on a ride like that, though. So maybe they'll go with another one of their.
It wouldn't be any worse than Timberliner. Timberline
True.
or whatever.
But they could also probably fit their 200 meter model in there as well. There's a lot of options if they go this route. Maybe.
What are you looking at? Send me the link.
Oh, this is pretty looking. This is their 200 meter model. I will send you the link right now, because the one at Canada's Wonderland, I believe, is 245 meters. Yeah, 245 meters.
Sure.
But yeah, this is mine 1771.
Ooh, that is pretty.
In Crimea at Dreamwood. The theming on that's immaculate. Holy cow, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That looks so nice for a freaking kiddie coaster. What the heck?
But that might be able to fit that space. It might be a bit of a tight squeeze, but
no, that would fit there for sure. Yeah.
That's
Dude,
I
if they
would
could
love
do
to
some
see
like
that.
rockwork theming on that too, like just like this, like that would be
Well, here's
Camp
the thing.
Snoopy AF, bro.
That rockwork fits perfectly with everything in Camp Snoopy in that section too. Like with the waterfall and
they
and
already
the
have
statue.
so much rockwork there.
Oh man, it would be so perfect. Knots. If you have not decided, which I'm sure you have already and probably did like 3 years ago, this is perfection.
If you have
this is
not
what you should go
decided.
for. I would love to see this at the park. I think a lot of kids would too, a lot of families. Also, so much more comfortable. Throughput would be higher, more exciting.
Wait, I was gonna say, yeah, even just with one
Like-
train, like it's low throughput relative to like a B&M Hyper or something, but it's like high throughput for a kiddie coaster.
Well, I was going to say low throughput for their shortest model, because that's only 5-car trains, where this is like, what, a 10-car train almost?
Oh, okay,
1,
for sure.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's an 8-car train. But still, that's, an extra
That's
6
16.
riders.
I mean,
per
that's
train.
hang time.
Yeah, literally. That would be
So-
fine.
That would be awesome, dude. That would be really great.
Dude, I just noticed there's
Okay,
like a
Knots,
car.
go for it. You have our approval.
There's a car
So-
ride driving underneath it.
There is? Oh, yeah.
That's
Neato.
cool, man. I've never
Neato
heard of
Petito.
Dreamwood. It's just the one coaster.
I have, but it's not this park. It's something else.
They opened in 2019. Yeah, cool, man. Cool. Anyway, I think that's it for Timberline Twister and its sudden
That's fun.
potential
Exciting
closure.
stuff. I learned something new.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, hopefully the park says something about it soon though, because like if they just say nothing and
That
it
would be polite of
gets
them.
demoed, that's we'll talk
Speaking
more
of,
about demolition
Park
in a
communication.
second.
Although I guess communicating about a ride safety matter versus just
Yeah,
future
just
plans for a park.
closing something.
One of them's
yeah.
more like, oh, it'd be cool to know. The other one's like, no, like that. You need to tell people what the hell's going on.
definitely. Yeah, it's not like there was a bunch
And
of
this is the
articles.
latter. No, they have to tell us what they're doing with the kiddie coaster. I don't care about the ride safety and support cracking. Tell me about the damn new kiddie coaster.
So speaking of not still, Fiesta Village is still changing. They've got a brand new sign up on the boardwalk side, which is really cool. I don't have any pictures of that. Another thing that's changed is Montezuma. Montezuma has walls around the queue side. Finally, the queue on the other side of the
Wow.
building. So they're actually going to do stuff over there now, which is great.
Have to be completely honest with you. I don't care at all. I really don't. I really liked Fiesta Village, but like I'll care when the stuff is done, but it's just
Yeah.
like, no offense to your wonderful, beautiful updates, but it's just like it's moving at such a snail's pace that I'll be, the next time I'll care is when things are done, I think.
is when things happen.
It's just like one tiny little piece here and there.
Yeah.
And it's cool that like if you are like interested in that, like that's exciting. This is not one of those things for me. Personally.
Well, it's like
it's just like
personally, I want to make more
get
updates
on with
on
it already.
Right. I want to make
no,
tons
that's
of
totally
updates.
fine. And
but at the same time,
especially
it's
for
like
the people that do care, but it's not me.
when I'm like, oh yeah, look, here's my water bottle. Construction
Oh,
update.
Did you show me something?
I moved it to the one side of the other.
I'm
my
just
camera
bouncing
can see it.
around like so many.
But yeah, it's like
Here's my
that's
monster can. Monster, if you want us to drink your energy drink on X2, just reach out to loopydoods@gmail.com, which we should probably actually make that an email in case, just so that no one else does. Just so that no one else gets the opportunity to drink
don't do
Monsters
that.
on X. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. Sorry.
I've never had
what
Monster.
What are you saying?
What? I don't even know.
What?
What was I saying?
Okay, what's this?
Yeah, I've never had it. Anyway, Montezuma. Yeah, I just don't want to cover when walls go up on the other side. Like that's just nothing's actually happening on the ride that's worthy of a full video update. I can be like, hey, that's happening, but it's not.
It's happening.
Exactly. But speaking of demolition, our favorite wild mouse just got demoed entirely.
I didn't even see that you put this in here, but yeah, that's I made a video review of all the wild mouse coasters I've been on. This was I don't remember if it was the best or definitely at the top of the list.
It was my favorite, just because there was no trims.
At at Busch Gardens, Tampa. That's the name of the park that it's at.
I'm like, you worked there.
My brain is fried. It's just so hot. I don't know if we've said it in the video, but Drew and I were complaining for like 40 minutes before we started recording about how miserably hot it is.
And also, neither of us have AC running in our rooms that we are currently in.
Or
at all. So that's fun. That's why I'm also like sitting so far upright in my chair, because if I lean back, my back is just gonna get drenched in sweat because it's
yummy.
Hot. It's very hot.
Oh, it's so hot.
SoCal heat wave. Woohoo! Hey, at least we're not in Arizona. Shout out to everybody in the Southwest.
Yeah.
I feel for you right now. I know
if you guys are stuck inside and like you just need to have the AC running and need something to watch, go ahead and watch the review of Castles and Coasters roller coaster. What's it called? I can't. I'm so stupid.
or if you don't want something Arizona related whatsoever, I will have my Cedar Point ranked by you video up today or tomorrow at worst. So that's
So if you're not passed out from the heat,
watch all 70 rides ranked by you at Cedar Point.
It's like fully gone.
It's like gone. Yeah, Sand Serpent.
Sad.
They took the bulldozer to it, and whatever the other things are called, I can't remember. It's been 20 years since I used to care about construction equipment. They just ripped that thing out. Shout out Bob the Builder. It's just gone.
Was he the contractor for the project?
You know what? Honestly, that would be amazing. But yeah, they just ripped that sucker out. I know technically it's the second park it's been operating at, because it originally opened at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, if I remember correctly.
Oof, these pictures are gross.
It makes me so sad.
Like,
I know a lot of people are very happy about it.
I was about to ask. I don't know. I was about to ask if it was getting rehomed.
Nope.
Oh God, it's just scrapped. Yeah.
Yeah, it officially closed on the 9th.
People really didn't like it, right?
Yeah, people hated it. It's really weird.
I feel like it was pretty darn smooth. Like I feel like Goofy Sky School is like a little rattlier. Yeah. But Sand Serpent, the reason I know we mentioned it like 2 tangents ago, but the reason we like it so much is the trim brakes don't really like engage very frequently throughout the ride. So you get to experience the full effect of the laterals when you're switching back and forth. So this is a bit of a bummer to see, honestly. Not fun. That sucks.
So it has been operating regularly since 1996, when it opened originally at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, as apparently it was opened as Izzy, is what our CDB is saying, and then changed the name to Wild Mouse. with the German
good.
spelling of mouse, apparently.
If it's not called Wild Mouse, how am I supposed to know what I'm writing?
And then it was called Cheetah Chase at Busch Gardens Tampa when it first opened at Busch Gardens Tampa.
Yeah.
And then it changed its name to Sand Serpent when Cheetah
Which
Hunt
that name
opened.
change at least makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
right. Because you can't have two cheetah-named coasters.
Facts. The Sand Serpent differs slightly from a standard mock Wild Mouse. On a standard built prior to 2007, there was a small dip prior to the brake run. The Sand Serpent has a dip, but not the two prior to it, with a section of flat track in their space. That wasn't that fun of a fact.
I'm gonna be honest, all those words just went completely over my head.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I know that's not saying much, considering every words go over my head. But yeah, that
yeah, I don't know. I definitely preferred it, but again, a large part of that is because of the trims, but it was also operating less trains than every other Wild Mouse I've ever been
There's some
on.
footage of it.
So,
here's the ad for Wiener Schnitzel. Get that off the screen. Wiener Schnitzel's not paying. Do not go to Wiener Schnitzel.
yeah.
Do not use this cleaning product. I can't even tell what it's advertising.
Yeah, they don't
It means it's
even
not a
know
ad.
what Wiener Schnitzel is.
Terrible.
They think it's a hot dog. I don't think
Yeah.
so. That's not what that is.
No, I think
Nope.
it's looks more like a popsicle to me. I don't know. Anyway, here's the footage of Sand Serpent. So like you can see it's kind of zippy through these turns. So
yeah.
I'm riding Sand Serpent. And
Oh wait,
turning,
which way are we going?
and I'm turning again. We're turning left, and then we're turning right. But our screens are flipped, so who knows? Which
Yeah, I
way
don't
we're
know.
actually leaning.
It's just gonna be.
Woo! But okay, so see that last turn right before it dips to the next level? That's typically where trims engage on a Wild Mouse, and the trims do not engage until right here. So you get a lot more speed going through that long turn to the lower section, so you
Yeah,
actually get
true.
sustained laterals versus just the bursts of laterals at the really tight U-turns. But the bursts of laterals to those very tight U-turns are also significantly stronger. And I gave it a 6 out of 10 apparently. So yep. But yeah, nothing like mind blowing.
Well, here's
but,
the thing: a 6
I
for
guess for the
10
two
for
of us
Wild Mouse
personally, it
is
sucks.
really good.
Yeah, exactly. It's the highest ranked Wild Mouse other than the ENF Miler one because ENF Miler is king. So yeah,
High Miler Club
ripped
merch
to a
coming
good one,
soon.
I guess. It's
man.
literally the best like mock or can't think of the other manufacturer of Wild Mouse coasters right now. Another big one.
Yeah, I don't know. Does Maurer make them?
Maurer, yeah, I think so. But out of like the traditional steel Wild Mouse coasters, definitely my favorite. So
What's the Lagoon
Sad.
one? Let's see, Wild Mouse.
Sad
That one
times.
is.
I swear we're
Maurer.
coaster enthusiasts. I know we doesn't sound like we know exactly what we're talking about. So you don't know. You don't have to know what you're talking about to like roller coaster.
Yeah, speaking of bad Wild Mouses, the Maurer one at Lagoon sucks. Ow.
Oh really?
Yeah, I got bruised on that one. Not because the turns were forceful, just because everything was uncomfortable, like the restraint in the seat. And yeah, it wasn't fun. Yeah, I forgot they made them for good reason. Anyway.
Maurer.
But yeah.
one that I like, the manufacturer that I cannot say.
Seeing
Sound like my cat begging for food. Maurer. So stupid. Anyway, what were you saying? What coherent thing were you saying?
seeing that ride torn down like it is just seeing any ride torn down like that is a real bummer as an enthusiast. Because like in my
still
mind
can't believe people
it's
hate
still
on it,
pretty
man.
young. You know, it's only like pretty much the same age as both of us. So
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
like it's I don't know. I'm bummed out about it, but what, you know, we're getting old. Speaking of getting old, we
You
can't
have
really go
written
to
down here
Legoland.
replacement. What?
I was gonna tie it back into Legoland is closing one of their rides as well in Florida.
Oh,
Um,
I didn't see that. Where's that?
Anyway, it's right. It's in the same Sand Serpent
okay.
section. Yeah, but also we could talk about the replacement talk. Project Halcyon with Busch Gardens Tampa is going on in that area. It includes the area where Sand Serpent
Is that
was.
like official or is that like leaked? Or-
I don't know if that's official. It's probably a leaked thing. But just I know, what was it, Phoenix, the the swinging pirate ship, the inverting pirate ship that was there, that's gone as well.
Yeah.
And so
that's good, because that has just
there.
not been operating. So it's just taking up space.
That got taken out actually before Gwazi opened, if I remember correctly, officially.
Did it?
So
I don't think so. I feel like I remember seeing it like sitting there.
Well, I remember seeing it in November, but I don't remember seeing it the next time we were there.
Well, whatever. Regardless, what's allegedly replacing it?
Oh, I don't know. People are speculating.
Oh, cool. Cool.
It could be anything from a family coaster to a lot of enthusiasts, of course, are hyping on the, a possible giga happening, but it's like, come on. Come on.
I mean, if that happens, great, but there's just like no need for it. I feel like a family coaster would be the most apt replacement for it. Something that has better capacity than like 2 Wild Mouse cars every 30 minutes.
Yeah, definitely.
Because families and children want to ride rides too. The
like
whole world isn't about you, enthusiasts.
They already have Gwazi,
even though you might think it is
another, top 5.
That's what like. You don't need to get like anything like number 1 worthy for.
It'd be nice. Don't get me wrong. It would be amazing, but like.
No, but it would literally be better if they just got a family coaster.
Yeah.
Like it would just be better overall for everyone.
Yeah.
Except for whiny little enthusiasts.
But yeah, talking about more Florida coasters being removed, in August, Legoland Florida is closing their Vekoma suspended coaster, Flying School. I think Zach rode that because he visited the park, believe it or not. He said
I didn't even know that.
He said it was terrible. But it's a Vekoma.
Yeah, the Vekoma, the nickname Vekoma Hangin' Bangs.
Mm-hmm.
Which doesn't sound appropriate in the context of it being a kiddie coaster.
Yeah,
now that I think about
it doesn't. Coaster enthusiast.
Because you dangle from the track and you hit your head on the sides of the restraints. Not fun. Mm-hmm. The one did you ride the one at Kings Island? Did you and Zach ride that one at all? I don't remember if we skipped that one.
Nope, because every time we went up to it, it had like an hour wait because it was one train.
I rode that with Javi. She's very sensitive to headbanging, and we were totally fine on it. Yet the one at Carowinds, Kitty Hawk, I believe is what it's called. Yeah. Horrendous. Really terrible ride. So, I mean, this kind of ties into what we were talking about earlier with kiddie coasters. If there's any coaster that you want to be as comfortable as possible, it's one that's going to have some first-time coaster riders on it, or at least less experienced coaster riders on it. Yeah. Some little kid is not going to know all the tips and tricks. They're going to know how to speak better than I do, but they're not going to know the tips and tricks to avoiding headbanging on a roller coaster. They're just going to sit down the same way they sit down in like a chair and think, we're going to have fun on a roller coaster. So this is not one that, even if I saw pictures of it being scrapped, would make me sad at all. Though I have not ridden this one specifically. If it's even close to the side of the spectrum that Kitty Hawk sits on, it was probably not a good ride. You said Zach said it wasn't very good, right? So I'll take his word for that. Especially since I know he can handle rougher stuff better than most
his
people.
favorite thing in the world is wooden coasters. So
exactly. So like he's no wimp.
Yeah.
But not sad to see it go. Hopefully, if it's just a net loss as far as number of rides / coasters, that wouldn't be ideal. But if it's a removal for a replacement, I think that's great.
Yeah. I will say, I just remembered this. There is a mock Wild Mouse that is exactly the same as Sand Serpent at Legoland Florida. If you want to mock Wild Mouse,
there is
goodness in Central Florida. But yeah, so that's just something I
feel like there's some other tie-ins from Legoland Florida. I think I rode like, speaking of Wild Mouse coasters, they have like kiddie Wild Mouse coasters. I think Zaire, whatever. Fiesta Express at this random family fun center.
Yeah, that's right.
Austin,
I remember
Texas.
you talking about it.
It's like this tiny little. Oh, I just closed the video too. Oh no, I didn't. Here it is. It's somewhere in here. It is just this tiny little Wild Mouse coaster, and I believe this also operated at Legoland Florida. So there you go.
Oh, but it was before it was Legoland, right?
Cypress Garden. Well, it was a Cypress Garden. Yeah. Cypress
Wow.
Gardens.
See, we are enthusiasts. We know our things, even though that literally is pointless.
Yeah. I'm a nerd. Don't worry about it. Yes. Well, so there you go. Wild Mouse coasters, Florida.
Mhm.
They're related.
Yeah. Also, what's the other wild? There's
Good stuff.
Galaxy Spin.
Oh, spinning Wild Mouse. Yes. Fun,
I'm trying to think of all the wild
The
mouses.
restraint popped off while we were riding. I don't know if that was with you or with Javi, but yeah, the padding on the restraint just came off.
I think that was with
Safety.
Yeah, that wasn't with me. We rode it one time where it didn't spin. That was fun.
That was interesting. Yeah, the laterals are brutal.
Yeah, we were riding with Uncle Nate, believe it or not, from El Toro Ryan, and he didn't want it to spin. He was like, "It can't spin. I'm not good with spinning coasters. I will get nauseous." And it did not spin at all. We didn't tell the ride operators. It wasn't supposed to do that, but it went through the whole course without spinning, and he was pretty ecstatic about that. So I thought that was kind of funny.
I think that ride only has maybe a 33% success rate with operating the way it's supposed to when I'm on it.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Both
Both of which could potentially negatively impact safety because the ride forces are supposed to interact a certain way. Anyway,
speaking of ride forces and
speaking
safety,
of ride safety,
next up is a ride we don't want to talk about, but we might as well because we can put it in the title. Top Thrill Poopster. That's what I wrote it as.
Oh my god. Well, I saw this when I was skimming through, and I don't know. I think it's cool. Maybe just because I haven't been following this as much, but
that's fair. Let me send you another couple links.
But there's a new logo on the ground for it, I guess.
Yeah, and it kind of confirms
about.
that the new theme is definitely going to be racing still, because it says racing in the middle of that logo. That logo was also...
Or maybe they're just tricking us.
I mean, maybe. It's possible. Also, that logo, I will say, was included on Winter Chill Out as a keychain. They handed it out as a free keychain during Winter Chill Out this past winter. So they were already kind of alluding to the new logo. And a lot of people are thinking that, it could signify two dueling top hats or something. I don't think that's going to happen.
It literally doesn't even make sense. Yeah.
I don't even know how you would,
I was going to jokingly say that. They're going to turn it into a dueling coaster, but I thought it was just so stupid and outlandish that it wouldn't even be funny.
Yeah.
What are people... What?
Coaster enthusiasts.
They're going to build an entire other top hat. Do you not realize that this ride costs $30 million and all it is a top hat?
Well, here's the thing. $30 million back then. Let's do the inflation calculator real quick.
What's that, $50 mil right now?
Calculator.
It's not cheap. It's not cheap. It's not any cheaper now than it was then. I do understand that you have existing support structure, but also, as we were just talking about earlier, support structures are not indestructible, so you can't just add to them willy-nilly. Even though Intamin drop towers exist on the side of them, that doesn't mean that you can just throw up a second top hat on an existing support structure. Are people...
What ride did...
I swear,
what year did it
people
open?
come
Was
up
it
with
2005?
Dumbest things. Sure. I have no idea, but sure.
Okay, give me a second. I did send a link for the primer that has been put down, or at least what we think is primer for the new color scheme.
2003.
It is currently being painted, which is cool to see in this gray.
Nino Petito.
SBNO since 2021. Tell me when it opened. 2003. Okay.
I told you. I told you when it opened.
I couldn't hear you. Let me see. 2003.
Maybe you should open your ears.
The inflation calculator, 2022 to 2003, right? I put in 30 million in 2003. In 2022 money, so not even this year, that comes out.
2022 money.
Actually, I can't even make it 30 million. It's only letting me make.
Okay, we'll do 30. Literally just do 30. It would be the same. Would it not? Would it not be the same rate? So.
Yeah, just about. So it would be $48 million.
Yeah. So yeah, get excited for the
No.
$48 million addition to Top Thrill Dragster instead of just making a brand new record-breaking big coaster.
And even if they were
I
to
don't know
do
if we
it on
talked
the
about this on the
cheap end,
podcast. Yeah.
it's too much. It's just too much. It would still be
it's
like
stupid.
40 million.
It's so stupid. A quarter of that is stupid. That's a quarter of that is it could still be a brand new coaster. I don't know if we ever talked about this on the podcast, but there's hyper coasters, giga coasters, and then strata coasters, but anything 500 plus is a big coaster is what we decided. Because that would just be funny to refer to a coaster as a big coaster and have that be the official category in which it's posed.
I think I first read that on Reddit. I don't remember who commented it, but somebody posted like, what should 500 foot tall coaster?
No.
Yeah. I brought it up because I was scrolling it while we were talking, and I was like,
I'm gonna maintain that I came up with that.
Okay,
I
fair enough.
think that was an original idea of mine.
But yeah, a big coaster, which this might be the world's first big coaster if they make the spike 500 feet tall, but it does go against what they've always said in the past. So
What have they always said in the past? Because I feel like that's a more reasonable, like,
here's the thing.
speculation as to what they're doing. Especially since there's like a footer behind the station and everything now.
So Superman, The Escape, opened at Magic Mountain in the 90s, right? 415 feet tall, 100 miles an hour, but not full circuit. Cedar Point opens Millennium Force in 2000 and goes, this is the tallest coaster in the world because it's full circuit and it's 310 feet tall. And then they did the same thing with Top Thrill Dragster. They were like, it's 420 feet tall. It's the tallest coaster in the world that's full circuit, and
it would still be full circuit. It would just have a swing launch.
But like, does the swing launch still, like, to me that
it would not technically be a shuttle coaster because it would still complete a circuit. Pantheon's not a shuttle coaster.
I get it, but at the same time, will the train
also things
actually
change
reach...
and parks like go back on what they said constantly?
No,
I mean,
our
one of our more recent episodes of this podcast was talking about how Magic or Six Flags won't stop changing their gosh darn passes every 5 minutes.
Very true. My thing is though, it's like,
but I get what you're saying.
If the train doesn't actually hit 500 feet, do we count that?
I think it's like you count it with an asterisk.
Okay.
I think you count it, but it's like obviously significantly less substantial.
Because in my mind, Superman Escape from Krypton, sure, it goes 100 miles an hour. Sure, the tower is 415 feet tall. But like, you only technically go like, there's only like a 250 foot tall height difference between the lowest point you're on and the highest point.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more. Probably like 300, honestly, maybe.
Well, I do have to think though that the highest point that you're getting at on Dragster would be significantly more consistent than Superman.
Yeah, probably.
So
At
there's that aspect of it, but I mean, it is definitely just better to have no questions surrounding it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, like, we're the only type of people that are going to nitpick that anyway.
Very
so,
true.
Like, whatever you tell the public is going to be what's true to them.
Yeah,
and like the specifics are only going to matter to like such a small percentage of people. So.
Also, I do want to mention it's pretty much all but confirmed that it is a Zamperla project. I don't know where the pictures are, but there were pictures out there with Zamperla being the name on the box that was shipped there, or like one was a support marked with Zamperla on it. So that's some pretty interesting.
So just picture a box and then picture Zamperla on that box, and then there's the picture.
On it. Yeah, just right there. But that's pretty interesting news, if you ask me. That Intamin is not working on the project, at least allegedly. Or at
not
least
in
with
any
the
capacity?
pictures that we've seen. Because it was their baby 20 years ago, and now another company that has never made something this huge is taking on the project, it would seem. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting.
It seems pretty wild.
It makes me very curious. I will say that. I do think it's this is some real coaster enthusiast talk right here. I do think it's going to be a better ride though. such
for sure. I guess we didn't
talk.
even. I don't know if we talked about this at all.
No, we
'Cause
haven't.
Briefly mentioned Dragster, I feel like recently, but yeah, it is. I don't know. Sometimes a one-trick pony can be worth it, but I don't feel like the trick is worth it. I just don't.
Because it's over so
Like
quick.
it's cool to experience once. It's like a one-trick pony that is cool to experience, but like once you've done it once, and especially if you've done it with more gusto on something like Accelerator, it's just like you get the idea already. We go on coasters like have an experience, and it's just such a minimal experience that it's just like it's so whatever.
I
And I have to imagine
think
the reliability is going to be better, but it's like still probably going to be somewhat unreliable, like any swing multi-launch coaster is. Like I just
I think the wind is going to be a pretty
like,
big factor still.
Not getting stuck waiting for something just for it to break down, like having that happen less frequently will make it better already.
Yeah.
And then literally just having slightly more ride time to it will make it better. I don't know, but then maybe the lack of forcefulness or the less forceful launch will balance things out. I don't know.
Even if
I just think it'll be fun to like get
backwards,
more drops out of it.
Even if it starts launching backwards, though, right? You're still adding at least another 10 seconds onto the ride time.
Yeah, it's already twice as long of a ride. You already have twice as many drops if you launch backwards to start.
And if they're doing, this giant spike like most people are theorizing, that's going to be taller than the main top hat, right? You figure it at least should be going almost 100 miles an hour backwards. In all reality, you're going to launch forward first, then come back, and then launch forward again. And that will add on. God, that'll make it like 25 seconds longer. That's a game changer. It's almost 3 times as long as it used to be, in theory, at least. So we'll see. I think we're gonna get an official announcement on that in the next month or two, would be my guess, because that's typically when Cedar Fair announces their stuff, is August through November. But we'll see. Especially when they want to do their big Labor Day sale, because they always do the sale for next year's passes in Labor Day. So, especially at Cedar Point, man, some of those Gold Pass commercials over the years. I don't know if you remember those, but man, with like all the employees like walking around the park like doing a sing along thing about how Gold Passes are great. Yeah,
sounds cringy, but
it's
What's with these new RMC teasers?
Yeah. Speaking of teasers,
that sounds exciting. Anyways, next topic.
Speaking of teasers, there have been a lot of teasers throughout the past couple of months from 3 different places: RMC, Silver Dollar City, and Six Flags Magic Mountain. One of them is definitely for a Fire in the Hole replacement, which we know the announcement officially for that is going to be on August 14th, is the day they officially said earlier today. And there should be a link to that.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Yeah, okay, cool. And that project,
it's just a little like book
has
something,
been,
I don't know.
That project's been rumored to be RMC for a very long time. Very long time. Also, we've seen RMC crews on site, or at least people have. I have not personally. That'll be really cool. I love Fire in the Hole. I don't want to spoil anything from Mario, because hopefully he'll be able to check it out before it closes at the very, very beginning of next year. January 3rd, 2024 is its last day. But I love that ride so much. But the replacement is coming along. And so not only is Silver Dollar City been
is what I say when I eat Taco Bell. Nothing. No. I said fire in the hole is what I say when I eat Taco Bell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's
especially the volcano stuff. Never, sorry. You were saying?
Also, if you see the picture I sent, this is something that RMC posted on their Threads account.
Oh, Thread, my bad. Sorry,
yeah, so they posted a tweet that was like the same picture but really, really dark, and then on Threads they brightened it up, and this is what they showed, because they were like, go to Threads to see this, because they're trying to get followers on Threads, which I get it. Twitter is Twitter at this point.
Horrendous.
It's kind of done for, especially with, Threads is like popping off, but that's a whole different thing. But yeah, I don't know what that is. That looks like a wheel on the left-hand side. If you're looking at that picture right now, Mario, I don't know if you are.
Yeah, and on the right-hand side, it looks like it's not a wheel.
Yeah. It looks like it could either be part of a train, which it probably is, or it looks fairly similar.
Let's
to the
zoom in
T-Rex
closer.
Track. So
if you zoom in closer, you can tell what it is better.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like there's a RMC logo on it.
So, I see that. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's tweeted by RMC or threaded by RMC, and it has an RMC logo on it. RMC confirmed anyone? I think so.
But I
wonder if there's any significance in like the capital O's in the Who.
There definitely has to be, and this is what a couple people are theorizing. I forget what Silver Dollar City posted, but they posted a couple days ago something doing the same thing with the O's. So I'm curious. Okay. I'm curious if this is just a new train reveal for Fire in the Hole, for the new version of it, since RMC is most likely working on it. Or you could go on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. Six Flags Magic Mountain for a couple of months has been teasing Giga this, Giga that.
Oh, right, yeah.
Kind of annoying.
Are they not just? I feel like they're just stringing people along.
Yeah, I think it's a troll, personally.
Yeah,
but
because only people that that's not gonna piss off their core fan base or core demographic, which is not coaster enthusiasts, same as any other park. It's only gonna mess with the people that are overly involved with roller coasters, such as ourselves. And a member of the general public is not even going to know what the word giga means.
Yeah, they're going to have no idea.
In relation to to roller coasters.
And one of their first teases actually said, what if we replaced Goliath with a giga? So it's like...
Oh, I didn't see that one.
That's such a niche thing to poke and tease at, you know? Don't get me wrong. We love Goliath. I mean, literally, I have the model.
We do, actually.
Right there. The model is right there.
Me too.
Let's... Are we going to... I can't reach mine. It's on top of my PS2.
The camera's so far away too. Look at that. It's Goliath. It's like Titan with one fewer helix.
But I know coaster enthusiasts always complain about Goliath not being a good enough hyper, which is just a load of crap.
Just fun, man. You get positive G-forces. Sometimes it's not all about airtime.
Exactly.
And sometimes the one floater airtime hill that Goliath has is also very fun.
Literally better than most of the B&M hyper airtime hills.
It's one of the best floater airtime hills out there. Yeah.
But so they also that was their first post on Threads, or second post on Threads, was that picture of Agatha.
But I feel they posted that on Twitter a while ago, right? I feel like that picture.
Oh, they might have. They might have, but I'm not entirely sure. I know the Goliath thing was on Twitter for sure, because it was before Threads was a thing.
Okay.
But yeah, so here's the other side of this coin, right? I think obviously RMC is definitely teasing towards Silver Dollar City, because they're kind of lining up on a lot of things. But hear me out, coaster enthusiast moment. They're teasing the T-Rex again for Magic Mountain for a giga. Whoa!
I mean, it's possible. I feel like it could be teasing a T-Rex, because
they were doing that last year,
too. It looks like a large wheelbase. Mm-hmm. There's so little to go off with how zoomed in this picture is.
Yeah.
But and you know Fire in the Hole better than I would, obviously, having never been on it. And trying to know as little about it as possible. But I mean, this picture makes it look beefy. It looks substantial. It does not look like it is a small, family ride.
Yeah.
The thing to the top right of the wheel looks like a thick track, but I also like that is not where the track would be in relation to the wheel.
Also,
so
it has like a bolt connecting on the top. If you look at the very top right, that's like a bolt going into that. So
yeah, this picture is very confusing.
Which great job, RMC team. That's a great tease because like it's something new, but we have no idea what the heck it would be. So
I mean, the T-Rex track is like so overdue at this point.
Yeah,
that it feels like it's just a matter of time before it happens. I mean, they were trying to get it out like
long time ago,
3, 4, 5 years ago at this point, right?
Yeah, the R&D was just I'm sure it was just too much. When I visited RMC a couple years ago now, holy cow, it's almost been 2 years. We saw that track, the T-Rex track. Got to hang out pretty much right next to it. It was in their junk pile at that point because they have a junk pile off to the side of their factory. And I will say, although vaguely it looks like T-Rex track, I can tell you it's very different, especially in the top. On the top, it would have to be like twice as thick on like the little T that goes across, if that makes any sense.
But they've mentioned at points having something like sort of in between the two, have they not?
Yeah, that was like almost a decade ago though now.
Yeah,
but that was before even the first Raptor was officially debuted at Fiesta, Texas. Okay. So it's been a very long time. Alan's no longer with the company too. Pretty much, he's retired.
Right.
Fred is also retired. So it's like it's a completely different. It's a new guard now, pretty much. I mean, a lot of the same people are there, but the top is, all completely different people. So
I don't know. I feel like it could be a T-Rex just because it was like, from my recollection, in like, I don't know, IAAPA like 2018 or maybe 2019, like they were saying it was like a year out from being ready should a park want it. Yeah. So it seems like at this point it has theoretically been ready should a park want it for a while. It's just a matter of whether or not parks want it. And I know that Raptor models have just been so much more popular than RMC had even expected because they did not expect major parks to be putting these relatively low capacity rides in.
Yeah.
So I think it very easily could have been ready for years now, just with not a big enough interest from any park to order one, especially since it's a brand new ride type. So I feel like it is very, very, very possible for it to be a T-Rex, whether or not it is. It's just,
maybe.
There's no reason a T-Rex wouldn't be ready at this point.
Well, it's kind of tough to say. I remember somebody also saying that
T-Rex or T-Rex equivalent that they've kept under wraps.
Yeah, but I do remember the T-Rex just people, I don't remember who said it, but it was said that at the cost it would take to build something like the competitors, it would be exactly the same, if not more. And that probably pushed a good few parks away from doing it. Because if parks aren't willing to put in a $35 million B&M Giga, why would they put in a $35 million RMC T-Rex,
Yeah, absolutely.
So
the only difference would be the marketing potential for, the largest single rail coaster.
Yeah.
But then again, Magic Mountain doing something like that, they would just be taking their own record, which would be kind of silly.
Yeah, that doesn't really line up in my head either.
And also when it comes to marketing, every single coaster at this point is being marketed as the first, the only, or the tallest, longest, whateverist to do something.
Yeah.
So like these BS records are just popping up left and right. Whether or not they're even working for the general public at this point, I don't even know if they are. I think it works when a news outlet incorrectly reports it as being something more substantial than it is, like calling Steel Vengeance the tallest roller coaster in the world, or Arctic Rescue the fastest roller coaster in the West Coast.
Yeah, that was funny.
It tops out at like 40 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So, like, I think the parks might potentially even just use misreporting to their benefit, but I mean, at this point, I feel like even the general public is caught on to the fact that everything's the fastest, tallest of some variety. You know, you can invent a new coaster type and call it the fastest, longest, and loopy doodiest of them all because it's the only thing that exists. So where am I going with this? From a marketing standpoint, I don't know that
it's just very odd.
Benefits them to have it be this versus another manufacturer.
Yeah, I will say
the difference would be that it is RMC and they might recognize the value in that. So.
You could always just say, like, if it is the T-Rex, tallest, fastest, longest single rail, right? But then you could also say with like Wonder Woman, it's the tallest, fastest, or not fastest, I guess. It's tallest and longest single rows seated. Like it gets really messy and convoluted.
Yeah.
But I do remember last year RMC teasing the T-Rex for months on end. Also.
Oh, really? So,
yeah. They did. Let me see if I can find it. Because there was even like they dressed up in a T-Rex suit and like burst through the wall. Here's the link to that. It's in the Discord. But there's a little video there. I think it goes to Instagram. Yeah, they were walking around at IAPA, I believe, in a T-Rex costume, and there was just a ton of random stuff like that last year, and nothing really came of it. Like, oh yeah, here's another thing. They did a merch giveaway and posted T-Rex in the middle of the picture. I honestly think this is all trolls. At this point, it's really tough to say.
It's hard to tell.
But it's.
I do remember this now. Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be a tipping point moment where something happens. Whether it's even just this was all a troll and they just confirmed that, or heck, somebody theorized in my public Discord that the giga they keep referring to at Magic Mountain is the gigawatts that they're going to have with the solar that they're installing at the parking lot.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, hey, that's good too.
Although I don't know how that replaces Goliath.
Solar in the parking lot would give us gosh darn trying to harness and contain my rage. Shade in that godforsaken awful parking lot. So that would be a win for the people visiting the park, a win for the park because in the long term it'd save them money, and a win for the environment. Yeah, and you could also with that add more electric car ports because there's like 3 of them for that entire parking lot. There are 3 ports for electric cars. I think like Kings Island literally has more, right? Yeah, it's embarrassing. And then SeaWorld San Diego has like 4. Disneyland has a bunch because it's Disneyland. But yeah, I mean, I guess that would be good. I think you're right. I think it very well may not be like teasing a T-Rex and could be trolling, but it could, I think, be like a diversion, right? Like maybe, oh, y'all thought you were getting T-Rex, you're not. But look, here's this. This is exciting, just to keep people like engaged and talking about RMC and just thinking about it, and could just be hyping stuff up for something else. Well, I'm definitely engaged. I'm ready for what's to come. Speaking of which, Universal Studios Hollywood, literally a couple days ago, confirmed that the Fast and Furious roller coaster that's been rumored for literally almost a year now is happening, and construction is starting. So that's fun. I sent there's the Twitter link there, and then if we want to watch potentially what could be a leaked layout, there have been a lot of leaks involved with this project. Like the first leak about it was almost a year ago to the day. Pretty crazy that they just flat out were like, it's happening. That's it. Yeah, I forgot that they like actually announced it. Yeah, because I know with, at least in Florida, because Islands of Adventure ruined it for. It was what? The actual the actual announcement was ruined for them by leaks again. Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing though, because
The Florida coasters that have recently opened at like Islands of Adventure, everything at Epic Universe, all of that stuff has been leaked for literally years before the project came to fruition. But they always just were like, with Velocicoaster, they were like, oh, it's just a churro stand. They played that joke constantly. Yeah. And literally opening day, we were there opening day of that roller coaster. Every time we rode it, we got a free churro, which I thought was amazing. Great little tie-in there. I loved that.
Yeah, but this is Universal Studios Hollywood.
Yeah, where they're just like, oh yeah, we're getting a coaster. Like, it was just it's very odd to me. I get that this ride has just been leaked like crazy and they just have kind of given up. But at the same time, it's weird because Velocicoaster's layout was leaked a year before and, they didn't really...
Well, maybe it's because like Universal Orlando can bank on the locals coming with a new attraction like no matter what, but maybe it benefits Universal Hollywood to like be like, hey, if you're considering on adding something to do on your vacation out to the West Coast in the greater Los Angeles area, maybe an extra coaster will play into that, like factor into your trip planning. So that might be the potential for like just being upfront about it, especially since like, some people like us plan trips like way in advance. So like maybe that's a factor. But it also could very easily just be the fact that they aren't as creative with it as the East Coast park.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know whether there have been more or less leaks on this ride than like Velocicoaster and Hagrid's, but I do remember there were plenty with the latter two in Florida. Man, oh man, we knew about those rides for years. I mean, not everything was correct, obviously, but dude, I don't know what it is about Universal, but people just like to leak everything that those parks are doing.
I mean, I worked at Universal back when we weren't allowed to talk about anything that was going on with Velocicoaster. So it's like, it's just the sheer number of people that they're trusting to keep their lips shut is like so large. I mean, like over 100 people on the rides team alone knowing about stuff that was not public knowledge yet. Which doesn't even take into consideration the contractors, the, people that aren't in the rides department that also know what's going on. You know what I mean? So it's just like, you have like probably like close to like anywhere definitely over 200 people that know what the heck is going on with at least certain aspects of the ride. So it's like, it's just a numbers game at a certain point. It's not like, okay, we only have to trust like these 10 people to not leak it. It's like, no, there's way too many people with their hands on the project for it to not pop out at some point statistically. So
it's very odd to me though.
Yeah. Is it leaked that it is going to be an Intamin, or is that just a speculation considering that Velocicoaster is an Intamin multi-launch coaster?
To be honest, I don't know if I've actually seen an official leak that it's going to be an Intamin, but I feel like everybody just has seen everything that has been leaked over the past year and just went, it's an Intamin for sure. But I don't know if there's any like true confirmation about that, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, also, a couple things. I can send just a couple things that might confirm it a little bit more. Like they did permit for a new geotechnical study in that area that they're going to be building it. They demoed the 2 show buildings that are going to be in that space. They were playing Velocicoaster ride noises and screams like blaring in that section of the park where even regular guests were like, where's the coaster at? They've been doing that for months.
That's funny.
So it's like, it's not that this has been a secret, or at least a well-kept secret.
Right.
But yeah, I can't really find anything about Intamin,
because I just think like there's no reason it couldn't be like a Mach or like any other manufacturer that's capable of making a multi-launch coaster.
Yeah, and they've worked with Mach.
But at the same time, it makes so much sense to just go with the company that just made you an absolute banger on the other side of the country.
Well, it's interesting because like for Epic Universe, what has been leaked from that project and what we can see from outside of that project itself, you have the dueling Mach coasters, right? You have those. So it's like
right, yeah.
they are actively working with
That's
them.
true. They're actively working with Mach.
So it's very interesting. But
and it's like from just a vague overhead layout of the ride, which is what was leaked. There's so little to go off of. I mean, I know it's a lot and definitely way more than what they would have liked to have shared, but like at the same time, there's no way to know for sure.
Yeah, but like
it is confirmed, I guess, Fast and Furious though, because that was just speculative. But we'll get a Fast and Furious ride. There
was concept art leaked on Screamscape way back when originally. This is what got all the leaks going originally. That it was Fast and Furious themed, and there's a link to it.
Do you care about that franchise at all?
Me, I've only seen the 7th one, because one of my buddies was like, "I have to watch this." I think that's the one I saw too. And that was it. I thought it was fine. I don't really care beyond that, though.
I think I've seen like bits and pieces of them on TV too. I think they're bad, but I don't think they're bad for a theme park IP. Yeah, and I do think a roller coaster is better than a slow-moving simulation ride for something called Fast and Furious.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not called, that stationary and bad graphics.
When Supercharged was originally announced, I was like, "What are you doing? What Universal? What?" And then they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna do it in Florida too." Why?
It's one thing for it to be a part of the studio tour.
Yeah.
Just because that's long, it's part of a greater thing. There's only so much you can do with a tram.
Yeah.
And honestly, people just thought it was funny too. So it added value, whether or not that was its intended purpose.
Yeah, Vin Diesel hanging off of the miniature helicopter.
I know. And people are like, no, it's a drone helicopter, so it's properly scaled. I'm like, dude, all I see is like 30-foot tall Vin Diesel hanging off of a helicopter, and I'm gonna laugh at it. So, it does only have that comedic effect once. The second time around, you're just like, okay, the tram tour can be over now. Thank you.
Yeah.
But all that criticism to say that having a ride, like it's a dumb franchise. Like I don't think anyone other than Vin Diesel would argue with you on that. Even people that like it, like people that I know that like it, appreciate that it's just turn off your brain action.
From what I know,
that's appropriate for a roller coaster. You just turn off your brain and it's fast paced action.
Yeah, I will go out of my way to defend the first 3 because apparently the first 3 were just like straight up racing movies and like didn't jump the shark like crazy. From what I know,
have they actually jumped a shark yet? Probably.
They went to space. They flew a car into space with like makeshift astronaut gear. This is not world physics. Don't work. It just doesn't. Like I will say, in 7, it was definitely already really kind of unbelievable physics wise. But then they jumped a car in between buildings, and it only dropped like 2 floors. That's just not gonna. You don't have enough room to go that fast to jump 150 feet laterally, and then
you can't disprove it, can you?
Actually, there's a whole YouTube video on how dumb it was.
But you can't.
Yeah, I could probably do the calculations eventually, but like, it's just, yeah, I don't know. Every bit I've seen from the first 3 was just racing, and like, I enjoyed those little bits. Not to say it's good by any means.
I don't know. The acting's kind of horrible. The writing is like makes you want to throw up in your mouth.
But it's definitely
throwing up in your mouth is also like, hey, that's a roller coaster thing. I guess that's more suitable for a simulator ride. That's one point for simulator ride, but
I don't know. I think it's perfect for a coaster though. I really do, and I wish it was a dueling coaster.
Yeah, but it's okay that it's not. I feel like.
I mean, I say it's okay as well, but man,
then you just end up with West Coast Racers.
Exactly. That's all. West Coast Racers is literally Fast.
Okay,
and
do we need
Furious
another? The only
Fast
coaster, the only coaster at that great, not stupid at all park is a Premier Rides multi-launch. Do we want another Premier Rides multi-launch at the same park with more uncomfortable restraints than the current one?
Who said it has to be a Premier?
I'm just saying. Then you get West Coast Racers, is what I said, and you're like, "What's your problem with that?" And that's a problem with that.
Well, you know what? Yeah.
Oh, sick, sweet. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be, if it is an Intamin multi-launch, that's great. If it's a mock multi-launch, that's amazing. We could use more of those in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. Well, the rumor.
It's going to be amazing that this park's getting another roller coaster, or even just another ride. Like, I haven't visited Nintendo World. If they were not building a new roller coaster there, I would visit Nintendo and then probably not go back for another 5+ years. That's kind of what I did when Wizarding World showed up. It's like, okay, go to Wizarding World, don't come back for several years on end.
Yeah.
Like, it does not offer a ton of revisit value currently. So I think it'll help a lot with that.
For me, I was a pass holder 5-6 years ago for a couple of years straight.
Yeah, because it costs like $3.
Back then, I would have said that's my least favorite major park in all of California. Because there was just so little to do. Like, you could do everything in one day. And I did, the first visit I did the studio tour twice. And we still had like 6 hours
and
left.
And that's really not something you need to do, like, more than like 5 times a year. It changes very little, and
it was not the right decision.
Interesting to a select few.
I loved the studio tour the first time I went through it, but I was like, I can't listen to these Jimmy Fallon jokes again. This is really...
Oh yeah, I forgot that he's a big part of it. Like, also, no offense to Jimmy Fallon, but he sucks.
They haven't changed it in like 8 years.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember that being like a big thing, that when I finally like went on again, I was like, oh, it's the same.
It's literally the same.
Because I was saying you don't need to redo it for 5 years or so, but now that you bring that up, you might not need to redo it for longer.
Yeah.
That's one of the many things about that park that I say is like super like only out of state touristy. Like, only for people that are coming here for like a once in a lifetime visit.
I do think it's the best
not
attraction all around, because there's just so much to it. It's like 45 minutes long, but at the same time,
it's a must do if you've never done it before, but then like a must not do if you have.
yeah, I would agree.
And unfortunately, like a lot of the other stuff at the park is the same.
And then sometimes if you ride it again, you might get less or more depending on what's available, or like what's being like what. If they're actively filming on certain sets, you'll skip that and take a different route entirely, or like you'll have to skip Earthquake or Kong because of filming, or even if it just goes down for a little while. So it's like sometimes the tour is even cut short to 25-30 minutes instead, and it's even less worth it. And I don't know. I will say, with Nintendo, with Secret Life of Pets, because I only just recently rebought a pass at the beginning of this year because I wanted to go to Nintendo really bad, which Nintendo is fabulous. Probably the best park or the best land in California, if empty.
Oh, okay.
If it's busy like it is every day, you're going to have to wait 45-50 minutes for every little activity, and it just takes up your entire day.
That sounds awful.
Where thankfully I was very lucky and fortunate to be the +1 for Media Day, and that was just, we did everything like 20 times, and I would gladly do it another 20 more if I wasn't waiting 45 minutes for each activity like people do now.
I mean, I guess it seems like they're working in the direction of having revisit value, because I know if they had an Intamin multi-launch that even came close to like being as good as Velocicoaster, which we're not doing like a full breakdown and analysis of the layout, especially since it's like, who knows even how accurate these recreations are. Yeah. But if it's even close, then like, okay, I might have a pass there, because it's also closer for me than Magic Mountain. So, they're definitely starting to offer reasons to revisit.
Yeah.
Which is
nice. Definitely. And I will say,
but
with Secret Life of Pets as their newer dark ride, that's, I mean, I don't think it's the best thing in the world, but I do think it has re-ride value. It's so much better than, nothing being in that spot, because it was pretty much empty for a little while prior to that. I prefer it to all of the simulator attractions in the park, which there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So they're working towards a much better park overall with what they have. And
yeah.
I think with the coaster, I will be there a lot more than once every 6 months, because that's what I have a pass, and I haven't been since January because I don't want to deal with the crowds in my favorite part of that park.
Yeah.
Which the thing is, it's going to be crowded in that part of the park for the next 2 or 3 years minimum. And by that point, hopefully they'll have expanded, but I we'll see. We'll see if they're able to or not.
I think the mark of like what makes like a park have revisit value is when you go for one day and you're like, that was super fun. I wish I could have done this or that though.
Yeah.
But at least for like last time I visited, like prior to Nintendo, post Wizarding World, which was their like last major edition of like multiple attractions. I think. I could be wrong, whatever.
Yeah, it was.
And post Minion as well. So I think that may have been before, after. I don't know, whatever. We did literally everything. So it's like, there's no reason to come back. It's like, if I did literally everything and nothing blew me away, there's no reason to come back.
Yeah. I remember that same period of time after Wizarding World, after Minions, but before 2020. I visited on the day after Christmas, so the 26th of December, which is one of their busiest days of the year.
No, that's a horrible time to visit a park.
Literally so bad, like shoulder to shoulder everywhere in the park. We still rode every single ride, watched the special effects show, and still re-rode certain rides, and we still had a couple hours at the end of our day.
I visited on the 4th, way back, and it was the same. It's like yeah, that should not happen like at a park. Like, not because like operations should be so terrible that you don't get to do too many things.
Yeah, the operations
there should just be enough attractions to like leave stuff.
Here's the thing. It's one of those weird like on the fence things with quality and quantity. They have the quality. Most of those rides are really, really stellar, but they just don't have enough.
Yeah.
Like there gets to be a certain point where you need the quantity to balance the quality. Where you could see,
but it does also hurt when some of the stuff that you do have is not quality.
Well, correct.
I think if every single one of their rides was like a 7 out of 10 or better, that would be different. But when you don't have the quantity and you're not also up to snuff with everything on the quality, then it's kind of like, because like the Simpsons and Minions, it's like,
you don't need those.
And then like the worst parts of the tram ride, you're just like,
But I was gonna bring up Magic Mountain as kind of the juxtaposition to Universal. There is a lot to do at that park. There is so much to do at that park. If you try and do absolutely every ride there, it'll take you a couple days. But most of them,
luckily for
we
you,
don't
none
want
of
to
the rides will
ride
be open, but
or ride at all because they're just not quality enough. And that goes for most of the flat rides at that park, a couple of the coasters for sure. But it's a complete juxtaposition. Those two parks that are only about a half hour, 45-minute drive away. And I don't know. But
that's where like I think the Orlando Resort nails it perfectly.
Yes, 100%.
Like they have two parks, which is obviously not something that Hollywood can do, but like between the two parks, there's plenty of stuff for people of all different thrill levels, all different ages.
And it's all quality. It's all stellar quality.
Yeah, and even though they may not have like as many attractions overall as somewhere like Magic Mountain or like Cedar Point, which has like a million rides, where half of them just are kiddie rides that go in a circle.
Multiple days.
Exactly, and they have enough stuff to the quality of the rides is good enough to want to go back for the things you have done, and then the things that you maybe didn't have enough time for. You'll at least need another day on your current visit or another visit for. So,
or you ride Velocicoaster 12 times in one day.
And that's fine too. That was the thing I was going to say is like this coaster will maybe be enough for a pass, because even though there may not be things that I can't, maybe I can do everything at the park in one day, but there will at least be
something you want to ride over and over and over
that
again.
is now there that was previously missing.
Yeah. I will say I want to ride Mario Kart over and over again. Forbidden Journey is one of those rides I could maybe do a couple times and then just kind of get tired of because it's exactly the same every time.
I don't know about getting tired of getting sick.
I mean,
it's one of the only rides that makes me sick.
But yeah, with Mario Kart, because there's that game factor as well, I could ride that thing all day and have the best time ever.
I'll have to check out Nintendo before I can.
But it takes,
up to date opinion on this park. But you know, again, good thing they seem to be trending in the
I will say,
right direction.
With Nintendo and without Nintendo, completely different space. Completely different. It doesn't even feel like you're at Universal Hollywood when you're inside Nintendo, with the exception of seeing like some of the stuff around. Like when you're up waiting in line for Mario Kart, you can see Jurassic World.
I think you can say that about every area.
No, that's very true.
When I'm at Knott's Boardwalk section, it feels like I'm totally in that section, except for the things that I could see that aren't in that section.
Well, I'm just saying they tried so hard to change the sight lines for everything around.
Yeah.
And all you can see when you get in line is, oh, there's Jurassic World, because there's a big Jurassic World sign like directly in your view. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a fabulous part of the park. The park is getting better and better. This coaster is only going to make it better. It's rumored to spin or drift. So that'll make it even more interesting. Yeah. If you look at
that could very easily be a mock then, or I guess Intamin too, since they do. It seems like with the scale of this ride, it doesn't seem like it would be. I don't know.
Well, look at the concept art
interesting
that I sent you from Screamscape. This is definitely just concept art and is not like the official layout or anything. But you can see the cars of the train are twisting, like kind of like they're drifting.
Oh, okay. And the shape of it definitely looks
more intimate.
It could be Mach-E too. It just looks like longer trains, but it's like they could add that fabrication onto the Mach spinners.
Mm.
The track looks not Mach-E, but track and renderings is.
Yeah, it's typically not accurate at all.
Oh wow, so that's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, dang it.
What?
I just got reminded because we're talking about concept art. Canada's Wonderland.
Also, we've been going for an hour 45. Just so
I know. We're going off the cuff a little bit. They just had a survey put out with a bunch of future coaster editions with concept art for each of them. Let me send you the thing real quick. They either want a coaster launching out of, I believe it's called Wonder Mountain, right? At Canada's Wonderland. They want it like volcano style, launching out of the mountain. They either want a concert coaster that's a launched wing coaster, or a kind of like GCI Zambezi Zinger wooden coaster in Eureka Ridge Ghost Town as a full expansion land.
I'm always like hesitant with like parks that have troubled pasts with their wooden coaster is like what adding a new wooden coaster will do.
That's
for
fair.
Like people for popularity. But interesting.
But yeah, just figured I'd bring that up a little bit because I think those renders are pretty dang cool. I know most enthusiasts want Volcano 2, pretty much. I get it.
Yeah.
But like I would adore to see, the addition of the last thing, Eureka Ridge Ghost Town, with a GCI over there. I think that would be really, really cool. That's just my personal thoughts on that. Not that I've ever been to the park, not that I know much about that park at all.
Not that I'm ever gonna go to that stinky Canadian park.
It's just it's very far out of the way to justify.
Yeah.
It's like we'd have to fly
not really.
to Toronto, or we're going to Cedar Point and like Great Escape and Darien Lake in a road trip, which that's a long road. That's like 5 hours in between each park for driving. So, but yeah, so that's fun. Canada's Wonderland is definitely getting a new coaster in 2025. So yeah. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of a hater on Volcano 2 because I hate the way it looks.
What? Why?
I looking at video and pictures of the original Volcano at King's Dominion, the way the supports just overtake the actual volcano structure itself, it just looks so bad in my opinion. Like, it doesn't look like why is there even a volcano there? You can't even see it because the supports just overtake all around it. Like that concept art for the
I was going to say,
Wonder
the
Mountain
concept
version
art,
is
it looks like
better.
it'd primarily be behind it, which is,
Yeah.
I again, we haven't been to the park, but I'd assume the backside of that mountain is not what's particularly attractive. I wonder if they went with that option, if they get rid of Wonder Mountain, Guardian of the Galaxy, whatever the hell that thing's called.
I don't think so, but it does say for this concept it's a winged coaster, but it does show an inverted coaster in the concept art, which I kind of find funny.
I feel like it's hard to tell from.
I mean, it's pretty hard to tell, but it looks like it's yeah. Okay. I don't know. Actually, it's tough to say. But yeah, they're definitely looking at a B&M wing or a GCI spiral
concert coaster. That just sounds so. Who's gonna vote for concert coaster?
I don't know.
Sounds so dumb.
Yeah, it's
what is that? Rip Ride Rocket 2.0?
Well, I know there were some Rush fans in my Discord that were like, "Yo, this could be a Rush coaster. They're from Toronto. They're literally like Canada's biggest thing ever." Which I'm like, that's wishful thinking as a Rush fan, but that's just I don't think that's happening.
Like, look how well like the Jimmy Fallon ride did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like probably like top 10 as far as like ratings go, but like only because it's convenient and on a popular network that people will just throw on. It's like that's a gamble to put an IP on like one person or one group. You know, like that's. I don't know.
Well, it's weird.
Even Fast and Furious, I was like crapping all over Fast and Furious, but it's like it's easy to understand. It's like even if you've never seen a single movie, it's like, oh yeah, that's the one where the car go fast.
Well,
like let's ride fast car.
With the concert coaster thing I'm reading right now, right? It says a classic guitar riff sends you zooming over spectators' heads into a series of intense, high-speed inversions, all accompanied by your wing coaster's dynamic onboard audio system, blasting multiple classic audio tracks. Played by some
that
of
onboard
Canada's,
audio is not going to last.
Canada's greatest bands. So legitimately, it might be
it would
Rush
literally be that.
coaster.
No, it would. Yeah, it would be then. So I mean, yeah, that's definitely not a crazy idea on their part, but
it's pretty funny.
Not
but
something that appeals to me.
It's like Rip Ride Rocket was a B&M, really, and it's just,
onboard audio would be so cool. But I also feel like for a wing coaster, there's so much movement on those wings. Like,
yeah, it's gonna be
it's just
problematic.
Like, how often is X2's onboard audio working? I know that's way rougher than a B&M wing coaster, but it's just like,
do they even have an onboard audio coaster?
I'm sure they do. We just
outside of like Wonder Mountain's Guardian, like that's.
Well, I wonder if that's even like on board versus like.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not.
Off ride. I don't know. It sounds like about as good of an idea as putting onboard audio on Terminator Salvation the Ride. Like, I just don't see it lasting.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're Disney where they're going to be like keeping up on that stuff and making sure it's constantly working properly.
True.
Or even like places like Universal where they are keeping up on that stuff. Sometimes you get a ride on Hagrid's where Hagrid sounds like, oh,
exactly.
Like,
or even Gringotts. We had a ride with onboard audio issues, and that thing does less movement than Hagrid's. So
yeah, so I don't know.
But yeah, that's the last thing I have. I just remembered that also happened. I know Carowinds also sent out a survey talking about like water rides that they want to add to the park.
These surveys are also like
never actually happening. Yeah.
No, not never, but like.
But it's very rare. I mean,
there was a survey that went out from Magic Mountain showing some ridiculous or maybe not even multi-launch, but yeah, some vastly extended launch coaster on Superman's existing support structure. Yeah. It's just boomer bored people trying to figure out what their client base likes, and they're so out of touch that like I don't know that these have any real world impact on like what we're getting or mean much of anything, at least for now. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Struggling to. There was when was that? How long ago was that? That was so long. That was like 6 years ago when they released that.
That sounds about right. Like
2018, so 5
I was
years
gonna say
ago.
2018, yeah.
And it
Yeah.
like did an inverted top hat 415 feet in the air using the existing track on the launch itself. And then like did like this 300-foot tall top hat inversion thing.
It's really just to get an idea of like, okay, are people interested in a coaster the scale of Superman? That's why it's on Superman. It's just like
Yeah.
a reference point. And like I'm not even gonna try and find the video of the ride, but
found pictures, but I couldn't find the video.
if any of y'all remember it, it's like you see sometimes like someone's first creation in No Limits 2 where it's like you're like, oh, okay, well that banking would kill me, that inversion would kill me, that valley
Yeah.
would kill me, and it's like it looks like that, and so it's like obviously any of us coaster enthusiasts are gonna understand that that is not even close to what they would actually make.
Yeah.
It's genuinely just to get like the general public to see like, look, would you be interested in a ride that is as big and as fast as Superman but does more than Superman?
Yeah.
So it's just very, very base level whatchamacallit. I don't know, getting a gauge on what people are interested in.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe that's what ends up leading to the Gecko, right? They're like, that is what makes them realize, like, wow, all the people seeing the survey are not like, oh, God, something as big as Superman, too scary. They're like, no, give it to us.
Yeah, maybe.
So that actually could potentially, like, lead into decisions like that.
Yeah.
That's really all it is. They're just trying to see if people are down for big, super, mega big coaster or no thank you, tiny little baby ride.
Yeah, that was very non-coaster enthusiast brain of you, thinking about the general public like that.
Oh, yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, wow. And like how they usually have the most money going towards these parks. And their say typically matters more than the random 1% of coaster enthusiasts.
But I bought a T-shirt with stats on it. I should
and
be a
wore it at the other
shareholder.
chains park. Oh, man.
I think it's time to end it, bro. My fingers are sweating at this point.
Oh, yeah. Thankfully,
It
I'm
is hot.
okay, but that's
I'm
because I kept
tired.
my back off of. Anyway, what was the... thank you all so much for watching. This was a long one. We had a lot to cover. Holy cow.
If you want to the end, tell us what your favorite flavor of Monster is.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Tell us what your favorite flavor of Canada is.
Poutine. But yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in to another Loopy Doods. We were definitely, man, we went on some tangents there. It was a lot of talking.
I think it was more coherent than last week's episode.
I guess, but it was
Especially
a
at
little
the end.
less loopy.
Yeah, but
Yeah. We were just dudes this time. We weren't loopy. We were just dudes.
just plain old dudes. You can rename the channel.
Anyway, thank you again so much.
Welcome everybody to
tuning
the
in.
plain old dude.
Yeah, and if you subscribe, if you made it this far, like, why not? Like, come on, you've been here for almost 2 hours, like,
dude.
Anyway,
Subscribe.
yeah, and subscribe to Mostly Coasters,
Yeah,
Mario.
and subscribe to
from
Mostly Coasters, Mario. Mostly Coasters.
Yeah,
And
he's got
subscribe
like
to
the best.
Drew, mostly Park Bros.
He's got the best content, like on the face of
Out
the
of anyone on YouTube, I have the best coaster content. I have the best movie reviews.
Yeah,
what other
dude.
content exists? Those are the only two types of content on YouTube, and I'm the best at both of them.
Yeah,
So.
he thinks Sand Serpent good and Fast and Furious bad. So like, you should
Yep.
subscribe.
I mean, exactly. If you also have those opinions, then you should subscribe to me.
Okay, will do.
And also subscribe to Drew. His channel is Parks Bros.
It's a thing.
And he doesn't review movies on his channel.
I actually did once.
Oh, you did?
I legitimately did. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
What movie?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Why? I mean, I know you like the movie, but
I don't know. It was a
that's
very
why the
weird
mostly
time.
is in my name. That way, if I want to talk about anything that isn't coasters, I have
Yeah,
a.
that's
I have
true.
a. I have
Yeah, it made no
out.
sense.
Okay. Anyways, y'all.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Stay loopy.
Hey.
We like to do a bunch of loops. And we don't do drugs. We don't do drugs. We don't do drugs. We only like to write Coasters, no drugs. We don't do drugs. Drugs are for people that, we don't do drugs.